Yeah, thank you, Brian, for really exposing me to so many wonderful things here in the AJC. And Ben, who I caught up with a little bit earlier, I feel like I'm surrounded by a flock of seagulls. If there are any more in the room, please introduce yourself. And I have the distinct privilege of introducing Deputy Mayor Jack Osterholt. Before that, and touching on the rabbi's comments, I want to tell you a story. A story about Jerusalem in ancient times. We all know Jerusalem, it's built around all these hills. And they had this hill, and two brothers lived on either side of the hill, and they had a bunch of sheep. And one brother was childless, unmarried, the other was married with 10 kids. And once a week, the brother who was childless took one of his sheep and smuggled it over the hill to give it to his brother who was married and had 10 children to feed. Because he felt badly, I don't need all these sheep. My brother obviously is much more needy than I am. His brother, on the other hand, felt badly for the other brother because here I am blessed with a wife and 10 children. I want to smuggle one of my sheep and add it to his flock. And they did this back and forth for years. And one day they actually saw each other on top of the hill, and they realized what's been going on for so long. They embraced each other. And on that hill, they built the Beit HaMikdash, they built the Holy Temple. Pretty nice. There's another hill on another part of Jerusalem where you also had two brothers living on either side. Similarly, one was married with 10 kids, the other was childless. And once a week, the childless brother would say, my brother is so lucky to be married and have 10 kids, and I'm stuck here with none. I'm going to go across the mountain and steal one of his sheep. The other brother said, my brother's got no kids. I got a wife and 10 kids to feed. I'm going over the mountain. I'm going to steal one of his sheep. And they did this for years and years. One day they saw each other on the mountain, realized what was going on that hill. They built the Knesset. So we have a choice. We can either have a holy temple or we can have a rabid parliament. The statement is topical because we're now in the middle of another coalition building exercise in Israel. The intricacies of Israeli politics are well beyond of this brief introduction, but it's something that we follow with the same level of concern, interest, as if we were living in Israel as Israelis, because we care a lot about the country. The same level of interest we care about politics here in the United States and all over the world. It really is the reason why AJC is so compelling. As Ben said in his remarks, maybe the State Department of the Jewish People, or a platform for folks who didn't grow up with it to learn about it, for people who've demonstrated excellence in their own initiatives, whether it's in public service, as university presidents, as journalists, as leaders in the Latino community, in other communities, Rhodes Scholars that Brian's taken to Israel periodically through Project Interchange. To me, working with the AJC, really ever since I moved here to Miami, has been the signal ability to express some of my own interests within the Jewish community. A special shout out to our president, Leonard Wein, who invited me early on to co-head the energy security group down here in Florida, which he had shepherded for many years, knowing that I had an interest, like the organization does, in these initiatives. To work with Project Interchange, it's on the flyer when you see the history of AJC starting in 1906. The first thing they mention is 1911. Project Interchange has been necessitated here in South Florida in a very meaningful way. I know that we have representatives here from all over the country in your communities. I'm sure some of you are talking to the Project Interchange folks. We are always looking for the right people who are interested and willing to take the time out of their very busy schedules to come to Israel, meet with their interlocutors, as I mentioned, university presidents, clergy, other leaders, public service. Jack Osterholt was somebody that I had the real distinct privilege to meet when we were introduced to his colleague, Mayor Carlos Jimenez, who sends his regrets. I think he's most sorry that he's not going to get to hear you speak, but you'll see him tomorrow. And from the very first meeting, Deputy Mayor Jack Osterholt was there, and the specific reason why the mayor realized that his own visit to Israel would be much more productive. It's because he was intrigued by the business opportunities. And even on the trip, Jack reached out and brought back to Miami people who are at the cutting edge of really interesting things in Israel that could be relevant to South Florida. We've read the book Starting Up Nation. If you haven't read it, give it to some of your friends, then read it yourself. It's worth reading. There are a lot of things that are happening in the country that are very, very worth promoting. To me, getting to know Jack, he's spoken at our board meeting here in Miami. He's really become a friend. He's become a friend of the Jewish community. He's become a friend of AJC. He's not a rookie. He's had a very senior position in Senator Bob Graham's administration when he was a senator. He was the CEO of Broward County, which is the county just north of us, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, the airport a lot of you may have flown into. And right now he serves as Carlos Jimenez deputy mayor. He is extremely accessible, as you'll hear, highly engaging, and it was a real treat to get to spend some time with you both before and after your trip. We thank you so much for your time and dedication to our organization and comparable organizations in the city, and I'm proud to be a constituent of your county. Deputy Mayor.